I've earned just over $18,000 by delivering 5,000 packages across 200 shifts as an Amazon Flex driver, where I use my own car to get stuff to people's homes between 3 a.m. and 11 p.m. I started delivering for Amazon a year and a half ago, at the end of 2022. Since signing up, I've spent about 670 hours zipping around North Carolina in my car full of boxes, which has come out to about $26 an hour. This is equivalent to just over 4 months of full-time work, assuming you work 40 hours a week. So in theory, if I could do Flex as a salary position, I'd be making $4,200 a month or $50,000 a year. But instead of showing up for work and clocking in, Amazon sends me offers via their app. The offer shows me when to show up, how much they're going to pay me, and approximately how long it'll take. I drive to the warehouse and leave with the payload. I don't know how many packages, how many miles, or what cities I'll be going to. I just show up, follow the route, and money gets deposited into my account. Treating it like a traditional job just isn't that realistic. Firstly, because grabbing enough shifts within the Flex app to work 40 hours a week would be very difficult during those times where demand just isn't that high. And secondly, because I almost never drive for Amazon if the shifts offered are only paying the base rate. A 4.5-hour shift will pay me $81 because Amazon Flex's base pay in my city is $18 an hour. So 1 hour blocks pay $18, 2 hours pay $36, all the way up to 5 hours, which pays $90. Except for when they don't. Because in times that Amazon doesn't have enough drivers, or somebody cancels their shift last minute, particularly around holidays and Amazon deal days, like Prime Day, they'll increase the rates. Sometimes you'll see a 3.5-hour shift that normally pays $63 being offered at $70, $80, $90, or in one recent case for me, $117 for the same amount of work. That's $54 extra, or $33 an hour, instead of just $18 an hour. If the 200 shifts I've done paid me base rate, I'd have made $13,000 so far. But because I've been picky with what blocks I take, I've been able to make a surplus of $5,000, pushing me to that $18,000 total. Now, a lot of people use third-party bots to grab shifts automatically, which is against terms of service, and I do not use them, even though viewers accuse me of it every time. I've gotten all 200 of my shifts fair and square. Though I often do question if it's even worth the time I've invested into actually doing so, especially since I am fighting other drivers who are using bots to grab them before I do. Last year, my day in the life was waking up around midnight and refreshing the app for about an hour. As I get out of bed, I do all my morning stuff, I check my email, I'm just refreshing the app and looking for shifts. Then once a shift does quickly pop up and I'm able to grab it, I just have to get dressed and leave for the warehouse around 2:30 a.m. Occasionally I stop at Cookout for a breakfast of a milkshake, a cheer wine or Sprite, and maybe a couple quesadillas or hot dogs, and then I do my deliveries and get home around 8 or 9 a.m. Then I can run any errands I need to do and work on whatever other projects I've got going on that week. Usually that's just this YouTube channel. Then I'd go to bed early afternoon and repeat. And honestly, joining Flex has been the closest thing I've had to a schedule since high school, and I've followed this routine for a few months, but I really didn't think I would still be doing it all the way in 2024. Admittedly, I was often pushing my body way harder than I should have, because I would snag an additional Flex shift that totally ate into the time that I should be going to sleep, but instead, I slam a couple energy drinks and push through. And then I get another good shift and push through again. There were some weeks that I was going so hard on Uber and Amazon that I would just bring a pillow and blanket and take naps in the back of my car, either in between or even during shifts. As recently as last month, I fell asleep on a shift in an apartment complex parking lot, and I woke up a few hours later because I was just pushing myself too hard. I ended up getting so many late marks on my account that I nearly got banned from the app. I've just been motivated to earn as much cash as I possibly can to get rid of as much debt as quickly as possible. So I don't suggest doing this, and it's honestly more of a me problem than a Flex problem. I just don't have self-control and just can't stop working. But even on weeks that I do follow a healthier schedule, I'm totally sick of delivering for Amazon at this point. The warehouses, the routes, the Flex app, and the pay has changed a lot this past year and a half. I've developed more contention with some of the location staff, and I've gotten into more arguments recently. I've also had never-ending issues with their horribly developed app, and ultimately, I'm making less money per hour delivering today than I did in the past. I used to finish Flex shifts early almost every day. I mentioned that the app will estimate how long each block will take you, and going at the same pace that I use today, I was consistently finishing 30 to 90 minutes early sometimes. I'd almost always be wrapped up with a 5-hour shift within 3.5 to 4.5 hours. But as of now, I almost always finish exactly on time and occasionally 30 or more minutes late. In other words, Amazon has kind of just fixed their algorithm's accuracy, whatever algorithm they use to put together these blocks and sort the packages, because it's not done by hand. And in some cases, I think they have added too many stops or too many miles onto some of these routes. I currently average over 100 miles driven per shift, even though my average shift is only about 3 to 3.5 hours. I started doing Flex so I could take a break from everything. That included my public internet persona of just posting my every move to social media, and particularly YouTube. My first real business had just shut down, and my first relationship had just ended, in addition to a handful of other changes that led to me wanting a little more privacy for the first time in my life. So even though I do have a lot of complaints about Amazon, and I am totally bored of delivering today, it was the perfect getaway for a lot of months. Just driving around, completely alone, and in the dead of night, every night, for hours. Just me, music, various wildlife on rural routes, homeless drug addicts on city routes, and people's guard dogs that want to kill me on every route. I've gotten to process so many thoughts and emotions and listen to hundreds of hours of music. And explore tens of thousands of miles of North Carolina. Anyway, how much did I really make after all my expenses? After all, Amazon doesn't supply you with anything but a blue vest. I've put an additional 22,000 miles on my car just by driving for Flex. This comes out to less than $1 per mile, which in a lot of people's eyes already just makes it not worth it. Luckily for me, I'm doing this in a Tesla Model 3, which is very cheap to drive and maintain. So in my case, I've spent about $1,300 on electricity to charge the Tesla. I've also had to buy a handful of tires, which are as much as $1,400 per set, since the Model 3 wears high performance tires. But since starting gig apps, I've started cheaping out, and instead of getting the Michelins that I really like, I've been getting just all-weather, cheap economy tires. They don't last as long, and they still add up, but overall it's not awful, considering the maintenance on other vehicles. Now luckily, us giggers get a federal mile deduction on our taxes to help cover these expenses. It varies each year, it actually goes up, and it's currently around 65 cents per mile. And so across all apps, including Uber, Instacart, and DoorDash, I make an average of 50 cents per mile. This means that I essentially don't owe any taxes on what I make from Flex because this deduction cancels it out. And the fact that my Flex shifts are virtually untaxed means the money that drains into my power bill and my tire shop's pockets hurt me a little bit less. I'd estimate that I've spent $2,500 in total to do these shifts. So that's all the maintenance and wear and tear and charging and stuff, which brings my total post-tax profit to about $15,500, or $23 an hour after expenses, which coincidentally almost exactly lines up with my average Uber earnings of $22.50 an hour. But yeah, Amazon is rough on vehicles. Your car will be beaten down like never before, with all-terrain driving through everything from pothole-filled city alleyways to miles of muddy, manure-filled dirt and gravel farm roads. It's constant acceleration and hard turning, hard braking, throwing the car into park 50 times a day. It's pretty rough on the car. If I did all this in my 20 mile per gallon premium gas guzzling Subaru BRZ, I'd have spent about $3,300 on gas alone, not to mention how often it breaks down just being driven normally. So it varies a lot per vehicle, and people online are surprised to see me using a Tesla for gig apps. But I see about a dozen other Teslas at the warehouse every week. What I'm personally surprised by is how many gas-guzzling Dodge Chargers and even Challengers, along with expensive to maintain luxury SUVs, I see driving for Amazon Flex. So why am I still delivering for Amazon all the way into 2024? Well, I don't want to be. I know I said a bunch of good things about cruising around or whatever, but I'm so incredibly bored by it now. Nowadays, I tend to just zone out and just flat out miss turns because I get so tired of looking down at GPS and I get distracted by thought and stuff. It feels like time is moving at half speed because I just keep checking how many stops I have left, and it really feels similar to like in school, checking the clock every 30 seconds, just waiting for the bell to ring. It is not a career, and I never expected it to be. It's just a silly little app that's been developed and is currently managed by third worlders that Amazon outsourced it to. There's not even a guarantee of getting work at all any given day. However, it's paying off my debt on my own time with no boss and it pays 3 times what minimum wage does. And that's all ultimately good enough for me to fill in my financial gaps. Now, I will uninstall the Amazon Flex app the first chance I get and never deliver a package again. Or maybe once my debt is dealt with, I don't know, I'll keep it on my phone, and if I need to take a breather or drive around or want to take a break from work, or who knows, maybe I'll end up in even more crippling debt and I get stuck at the warehouse every night again. So, I mean, yeah, Flex is pretty cool. I know a lot of people worry that every job is going to be a gig app in the future and there's going to be like no stability and no benefits or whatever. But to me, this feels more like a limited time opportunity that's going to disappear someday. So if it's available in your area and you don't get stuck on the wait list, I mean, it's worth a shot. Just don't get too stressed over it. You're always going to have missing packages and failed deliveries, issues with driver support, and plenty of frustration. But most importantly, make sure you stay safe and can defend yourself. I gauge things I do on whether I'd be comfortable with my mom or my sister doing them. And honestly, the idea of either of them being alone in a car at 4 a.m. on random people's properties kind of scares me. I would worry they can't defend themselves or get out of sketchy situations in time. People just don't expect some random person to be pulling up in the dead of night in an unmarked vehicle on their property. They either forgot they ordered something or they don't know Amazon Flex is a thing. And this especially goes for the dogs of the property owners. I think a lot of people are better off doing this at least with a friend or family member who can either bring an added layer of protection through being there and being an extra set of eyes or ears, or even better, if they have some means of self-defense. But of course, that will hurt your hourly rate if you give them a cut of the profits for having your back. And finally, I want to mention Rocket Money. It's the app that keeps track of every penny that enters and exits my hands. It's free to use, but they do have a pretty affordable premium subscription. It's like a couple bucks a month. It's been an incredible way for me to understand my spending habits, all of my Amazon earnings and expenses, as well as anytime my subscriptions increase in price, or if I get double charged, or if there's an unfamiliar transaction. I mean, literally this week, my internet bill jumped from $92 a month to $106 a month without telling me, and I probably wouldn't have noticed this without the app. They have tools to create budgets and track your net worth and even negotiate your bills for you, as well as canceling payments automatically. So if you use my link in the description, I get a commission at no extra cost to you. So if you don't mind, if you do choose to sign up and start using it, please make sure you use my link in the description, because otherwise I don't get anything. And if enough of you sign up using my link, maybe I can finally uninstall Amazon Flex from my phone for good.